and who was out there supporting something like a pipeline? That's what we're here for today, is to make sure everyone understands what the benefits are of this pipeline, how this is crucial to our community, and just how many people, which are you, that support this project. Thank you so much.
We want jobs! We want jobs! We want jobs! We want jobs! We want jobs!
The Constitution, I think, as many of you know, has already received its Certificate of Public Convenience and Necessity from the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, or FERC. In December 2014, that was granted. Now, there was a 2-year regulatory process in which FERC analyzed the need for natural gas infrastructure serving New York and New England, as well as examining the economic and the environmental considerations. But we're here today because New York State has delayed the project. They have not issued the water quality permits that are necessary to move forward. So imagine that. New York has held up something once again. Ladies and gentlemen, New York cannot wait. We need to move forward, and we need to understand exactly what the benefits are from this project. Everyone here needs to understand. You're going to learn a lot today about all of the benefits if you don't know them already, but we want to make sure that everyone else knows. I heard one of our legislators say a couple months ago that there are no benefits to our communities. People who are saying those things really don't understand the issues. So we're going to talk about those things today. We've got various speakers coming from various different backgrounds, and they're going to talk about how this project impacts them, their families, and their communities. So, remember, this is a 125-mile pipeline that's been designed with a capacity to transport enough natural gas to serve approximately 3 million homes per day. Woo. But did you know that in central New York, in the southern tier, more than 50% of us use either fuel oil or propane? We're not using natural gas. So a project like this brings in the ability to be able to hook up to natural gas, be able to experience that lower cost, be able to experience the better environmental benefits that come from it. When we change from something like fuel oil to natural gas, we are reducing our greenhouse emissions by over 30%. In fact, natural gas is much of the reason for the United States being able to reduce our greenhouse emissions in this country. So, in addition to the benefits and that additional infrastructure that's going to be necessary that this will provide, both in terms of projects that are designed by Constitution and Leather Stocking Gas Company, they're going to go ahead and install 4 delivery taps that will facilitate local natural gas services to homes and businesses in the southern tier of northern Pennsylvania. Then, the Delaware County Industrial Development Agency received a $750,000 grant from New York State, specifically intended to connect Amphenol in Sydney to the Constitution pipeline via Leather Stocking's proposed system. And recently, the Southern Tier Regional Economic Development Council proposal received a $500 million grant. And that grant included the Leather Stocking distribution line off of the Constitution line, which will serve Raymond Corporation in Green. Yahoo! This project is estimated to create 2,400 jobs and generate $130 million in labor income for the region. Let's hear it for labor in the room. It will produce $13 million in annual property tax revenue. And where do real property tax revenues go? They go to our municipality and they go to our school, right? Over 60% of that 13 million property tax revenue will go to our school districts to support our children. And converting natural gas, again, has these environmental benefits that are really key. So when you hear people out there that say that there are no benefits at all to this pipeline project, they're just flat wrong. And they don't understand what the issues are, and they don't understand how this impacts us and our communities. Now, I think as many of you know, we've got some issues that the Constitution is dealing with right now. There are certain times a year when the Constitution pipeline can cut down some of the trees that are necessary for the pipeline, and in order to avoid those adverse impacts to migratory birds and the northern long-eared bat, Constitution is required to fell trees within the construction workspace between November 1st and March 31st. The clock's ticking right now. Their window of opportunity to be able to put this line in and get this project going this year is about to close. Another reason why we're here. We have got to make sure that everyone in Albany understands this project is crucial to us, that we need to move forward right now. And this tree felling project that the Constitution has proposed, that is going to be non-mechanized, not bringing in heavy machinery, that's a simple part of the project that needs to be approved today, right? Assuming time of the receipt of the remaining permits, in addition to the full notice to proceed from FERC, Constitution anticipates beginning the mainline construction this spring. Once complete, the pipeline will immediately become a key piece of energy infrastructure in the Northeast, creating an important connection between consumers and reliable supplies of clean, affordable natural gas. Now, in this nation, we have an all of the above energy strategy. Right? So there are many different energy sources, but I can tell you that windmills and solar panels are not going to heat my house. We have got to increase our basic energy infrastructure in order to make sure that communities like ours are taking advantage of this incredible American energy revolution that we've got going on right now. And this is one of those opportunities. Our New York State Energy Plan says we need additional pipelines. This is just part of that plan. We need to move that forward. There are 2.5 million miles of pipelines in this country. We just need 125 more.
I'll keep my thoughts brief. My colleagues and I had an opportunity to listen to the governor a few days ago, 10 days ago, deliver his state of the state. Right. Yeah, nobody said we had fun. He talked a lot about spending big amounts of money, right? He talked a lot about clean energy and reducing emissions. But he didn't talk anything about natural gas. Well, I've got a message to the governor. Put your signature where your mouth is and approve this project. I know my colleague feels the same way. I'm tired of this bureaucracy. Let's put people back to work, get out of our way, and approve this project. Let us go to work. I want to thank this group for standing by my side when I was running for election. I appreciate that. And I want each of you to know that I'm going to stand by your side through this process and advocate on your behalf. The land belongs to us, and we should be able to put people to work and do as we see fit. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator Akshar. Assemblyman Clifford Crouch was first elected to the Assembly in November of 1995. He graduated from Unadilla High School. Want me to give him the year? And he served as town councilman for the town of Bainbridge from 1982 to 1986. Supervisor of the town of Bainbridge from 1986 until his election to the Assembly. As an advocate for common sense in government, Assemblyman Crouch uses this approach to help those throughout his district in Broome, Chenango, Delaware, and Otsego counties. We're very pleased to have with us Assemblyman Clifford Crouch.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so pleased with the crowd here today. My God, thank you so much for coming. Just a question. Anybody here from California or some other state? It's amazing that we can do a rally like this without bussing people in. We're the real deal. We're the people with the boots on the ground. We're the ones that are doing the jobs. We're creating the jobs. And for the unions, thank you. Thank you for your support. You get this job. I called the DEC Commissioner's office the other day. It was, I think it was Wednesday. And I said, just can you give me any information about where these water permits are so we can move this pipeline forward? The information I got was they're in process. So I said, well, that's been going on quite a long time. And I said, we made promises to Amphenol and the people that work there and a lot of communities that they want to have gas in their villages and stuff. And I said, this is really getting kind of to a point of embarrassment for us as legislators, but also for the governor's office that we're sitting on this and holding this up for such a long time. And there was some silence there, and I highly respect this person. She's a legislative contact. I said, I know you can't say something. I said, but I'm just sending the message back that the governor ought to get off the dime and sign this, let it go forward. Thought about contacting Snap-on Tools. I'm wondering if there's a pair that we can get that the governor can snap on.
Thank you, gentlemen. All right, now we need to hear from our town supervisor, John Lawrence. John?
Thank you, Scott. In my capacity as town supervisor, I do get to meet with a lot of people who want to do business with or in the town of Afton. Some of those meetings go well, some of them not so well. But the Constitution Pipeline, right from the very beginning, I think in 2013, has been one of the best. They were clear on their intent, and they kept us informed on their progress, or lack of progress, as it's turned out in many cases. They've worked with our local landowners to help resolve their concerns. They've made meetings in Afton to keep the people up to speed. And they've worked very well with the town board in formulating an excellent road use agreement. They have done, I think, in excess of $100,000 in grants to civic-minded organizations within the town of Afton. That includes the Afton Playground, the VFW, the Chamber of Commerce, the town of Afton, and the Afton Historical Society. They've demonstrated their good intent on being an excellent neighbor and friend to the town of Afton. Natural gas to Afton is going to mean lower energy costs for those people who want to take advantage of it. And it will be another arrow in our quiver of opportunities for people to both live and do business in the town of Afton. All of those things will help. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John. Our next speaker is the supervisor of the town of Windsor, Carolyn Price. Carolyn is also president of the Upstate NY Towns Association, an association that was really formed because Carolyn felt that we needed to have our representation for upstate New York better heard, and she's been doing a wonderful job of that. Carolyn Price.
Good afternoon. Would you like to have more business in your community?
Yes.
Would you like to have more jobs?
Yes.
What about, would you like to have your taxes reduced?
Yes.
Would you like to have more money into those not-for-profits in your community?
Yes.
And would you like to have access to natural gas?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So that's the Windsor story that I'm going to share with you today, because in our town we have two pipelines. The very large one that's in black is the Millennium Line, and coming up in red, the smaller pipeline, which is a gathering line, comes up through Susquehanna County and meets the Millennium Pipeline, and that's Williams's line. So we have experiences with two pipelines, and we have short and long-term economic benefits. Some of our short-term benefits have been payments to property owners, jobs, and increased local business. For our property owners, we actually had 4 property owners that had their properties bought out at very good prices, and they were very happy. And there were payments made to the property owners where the pipelines come through their properties. This shows you a right-of-way. One of the reasons I included this, you hear all these claims, and I think I read recently some not in my backyard person said they're going to cut down 1 million trees. Well, I want you to look closely because you can barely see that right-of-way from Route 17. In fact, when I went to take the picture, I couldn't even find it from the road closest. I had to go across the highway to take the picture so you could see it. Jobs. In constructing the pipelines, we know there are people that come in jobs. We also had local people hired, and the ancillary businesses also benefited. We've had an increase in our local businesses, especially in the areas of lodging, food, and fuel. This is a wonderful story about our campgrounds. This campgrounds is owned by a couple in the town of Windsor. Because they've had so much business, they have upgraded it, and they've used all local businesses to do the upgrades. This shows you the type of campers that are often there from the pipeline construction. Food. Annie's Place is probably one of the best examples. When the pipeline was going in, she had to hire 4 more wait staff to meet the demand in her restaurant. And because she made such a good profit, she gave a lot more of her own money to our human development, which is our child program. Our gas stations have done very well. I can tell you when I see a pipeliner at the gas station, it's not uncommon to see them spend $300 or more filling their tanks and all the tanks on the backs of their trucks. Then we have long-term economic benefits. Taxes, jobs, roads, donations, and access to natural gas. I want to talk first about taxes because this is huge. Okay, from 2012-13 budget in our school, the school budget went up 2.55%. The school taxes went down over 5%. Town of Windsor, the budget went up a little over 3%, and the town taxes went down 8%. And you ask the question, were these tax rate reductions of 5.8 and 8% due to the Laser Williams pipeline and the compressor station assessments? Absolutely, yes. This shows in 2013 what the assessments were for the pipeline. It's a little over 10 million, a little over 19 million for the compressor station for a total of 29 million. Recently, their assessment went up another million. They're at 30 million. They are currently building another pipeline parallel to the one that's there. They're expanding the compressor station, and probably the assessment will be somewhere around $40 million. They have not asked for any pilots. They have not asked for us, the state or local governments, to help them. They are paying full taxes. This year, the Williams Company and Millennium together with their pilot, they're on a pilot, was almost 16% of the taxes were paid by them. What will it be when we get up to 40 million, maybe somewhere near 20%? That is wonderful for our citizens because we have big taxpayers paying more and the local homeowners paying less. In fact, I just looked at some homes in the town, and I looked 9 years ago in 2008, they were paying more than they are now 9 years later. And that can happen in these towns where the Constitution is going through. Long-term, you often hear anti-people saying, oh, this is bust and boom, this doesn't have long-term benefits. It does. We have people that live in the town of Windsor that have wonderful full-time jobs with Williams. Roads. Sometimes you hear that there's damage to the road. You heard John from Afton say that they've been very cooperative with road use agreements. This has been true for us. Williams has put over $1.2 million in our roads. We have a second road use agreement with them, and when they finish the current construction, our roads will be in wonderful shape. And think about it, when they're putting all this money in the roads they're using, we can go back and use our local, our state money to do roads that we might wait years to fix. Donations in the community. They've given a lot of money to the school, to our youth groups, particularly the recreation groups, to Human Development, which is our child program, to First Night, which is our New Year's Eve celebration. And I also should have up there our fire companies. They have been very generous, and they also pay taxes to the fire companies. What will access to natural gas in our town mean? It will mean our schools are going to be run on natural gas. This is our middle school in Windsor, elementary school, our high school, the town hall. And I always mention this at the end when I do talk about this. We do have to balance all of this with questions and concerns from our residents. Do we have people that aren't happy? Yes, we do have some people. But we all need to work together, and we continuously try to educate them that this is helping everybody, and it truly is. We all know we're in a very difficult economic time in upstate New York. But for these communities that will be on the Constitution Pipeline, there is light for you. There is light on the horizon. You can be like Windsor and have the benefits we've had. So let's all get behind this and have a wonderful rally for the Constitution Pipeline. Thank you.
Thank you, Carolyn. You know, those comments are so important because you're living it, you see it, right? We're not talking about some theory that this is what we think will produce. It's real, it's happening in Windsor, and thank you so much for that presentation. So, Leather Stocking is a company that has taken a major local role in how this will play out in our communities. We're very fortunate to have with us Mike German. Mike German is the president and CEO of Leather Stocking and of Corning Natural Gas. Mike?
They always have to shrink these things. And I did get coffee at a Marabito convenience store this morning. The top wasn't working right, so I have a stain on my jacket. And he's my partner. I imagine what it would be like if I was just a normal consumer at the convenience store. I'm here representing Leather Stocking Gas. We're a new gas company. We're very pleased to be here. We want to be up the 88 corridor. We want to provide local gas service in New York State. As most of you know, we're headquartered in Binghamton, New York. We're a JV between Marabito Holding and Corning Natural Gas Holding Company, and I have three of my partners sitting right in the second row here. Wish they were in the first row, but the second is good enough. That's Rick Marabito, Rosemary Marabito, and Joseph Marabito. So they're here to... Please don't clap. You don't have to do business with them. Our job is to provide local gas as a local small distribution company to communities that don't have gas service. That's what we do. And we met with most of the community leaders that were mentioned here today. We've met with every single large industrial up and down the 88 corridor, out to Green, up 11 and 12. And they all want natural gas. And we've talked to them. In the last 2 years, we spent over $10 million in the northern tier of Pennsylvania providing gas to local communities. There's now gas in Montrose, there's gas in Bridgewater, there's gas in Dimmock. We got Lawton, and we have a piece of Wyalusing, Pennsylvania. By the way, Constitution's operator, I believe, is Williams, and our taps in Pennsylvania, our 3 taps to serve these communities, are for Williams midstream assets. And we've had nothing but great cooperation in ensuring that if there is pipelines going through a community, the communities that have those pipelines see local gas service and real local benefits. So it's been a real pleasure working with these guys. Now, what do we have? In 2 years, we got 300 customers, 40% residential penetration where we have mains, 3 schools, a brand new hospital, 2 industrials, the government center in Montrose, 40 small businesses, and again, as I said, about 40% residential penetration. And we've had press conferences and testimonials down there. It has been an economic godsend for the Northern Tier, and they love it. In this coming year, we're likely to expand our lines into South Montrose. There's a new industrial plant currently under construction of over 150 jobs there. This is economic development, economic revitalization on the ground floor. You can see it work, and it's happening. And in the last 2 days, Leatherstocking has met with economic development people in Pennsylvania who are very anxious for us to continue to expand our services in the Northern Tier. So it's been a joy working in Pennsylvania. Now, I don't want to be a downer at this meeting, but, you know, there is an unfortunate here.
New York.
I don't get into politics. I put a pipe in the ground. We put pipe in the ground where we have gas supply. If we don't have gas supply, we don't put pipe in the ground. That's the #1 rabbit hole rule in Ireland. Is that the #1 rule? We have no gas supply. We have no pipeline in vicinity. We cannot put gas in the ground. We cannot put local distribution service in the ground. In order to serve this area, we need gas supply. No gas, no constitution, no gas supply, no local distribution. And we have options. We're a brand new company. We will continue to spend tens of millions of dollars in the Northern Tier of Pennsylvania. They will get the economic benefit, they will get the jobs, and they will get the economic activity. And it's very unfortunate because these guys here grew up in Sydney. They have a great loyalty to this local area. But as business people, we can only build local distribution where we have local gas supply.
Mike, please. Microphone, please. Use the mic. I can hear it.
I must be half Italian because I talk with my hands. And it's all over the place. I mean, that's the beginning and end of the message. We want to be here. We know the local officials want us to be here. We know the businesses want us to be here, the school districts, the hospitals. We've done it in Pennsylvania. We've been very successful. It's a great success story for the local communities. We want to do it here, but right now we're going to continue to do it in Pennsylvania until we see gas supply available. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike, and to your company and to the Maravitos for the support of the community. And it's just something that we really need here, and we really appreciate all of the time and the investment that you're making in us. Thank you. So let's talk a little bit about unions. I see a lot of yellow shirts up there. How many labor unions do we have here today? Call them out.
Carpenters,
Carpenters here. What was that?
Labor 277.
277. What else?
Labor 785.
Labor is 785. Who else?
Plumbers 317.
One at a time. Give raise your hand.
693.
693.
Operators. Plumbers and pipe fitters.
Plumbers and pipe fitters are here. Back there, I heard the operators, right?
Operators 158. Operators.
Operators.
Machinist Union at Amphenol.
Everybody hear that? Machinist Union and Amphenol. Any others?
Operators 825.
Operators 825. Others?
Labor's 1098.
Labor is 1098. Everybody understand what's happening here? Right there is a tremendous amount of opportunity for labor. There's jobs that are out there. And that's why we're getting so much support from our labor unions. This has to happen. And it's not just that. There's so many other benefits, both direct jobs and indirect jobs. Remember before I said there's 2,400 jobs that this project alone will create. So those are the types of things that we need to have. And we're fortunate to have with us today Dave Marsh, the business manager from Labor's Local 785. Dave?
Well, it's bittersweet being here again, isn't it? Yeah. I like being amongst, excuse me, all our friends who support this pipeline. I enjoy that. I didn't think I'd have to be back here in front of you again. I thought we'd already have it half built. The good news is, and I'll hand it to Williams for having the guts to do what they're doing, is we're ready. We went up to Oneonta yesterday, and we're ready to put people to work in the next week or two, as long as we can get those FERC permits. And I'm heading down to Pennsylvania early next week to meet with my counterparts to see what we can do to strategize what we can do there. So one of our friends here today, the one that's putting up all this private equity, Williams, please give him a big round of applause. Can you imagine somebody coming into your state and saying, we're prepared to invest almost $1 billion. We're not looking for any tax incentives. We just want to build some very important infrastructure that's going to benefit every one of your townships and counties, and put them through this BS? What is going on? We cannot afford to not be political. So I'm not going to end with it, I'm going to say it now. Go back home, get whoever gets on the computer, whether it's your kids, your wife, you, and blow up Cuomo's email box, please. Not just Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. If we don't get these trees down, we're done until probably, we won't even be able to cut trees until the fall. The guys here are a little better than I, but I believe that's the next window of opportunity. We can't afford to wait. I can see you out there. I know there's a number of people in this crowd who are sitting home, if they're lucky, collecting unemployment. Some of them are running out of unemployment. When we have almost $1 billion pipeline that's being held up by Governor Cuomo, it's just not fair. One swipe of the pen. He throws hundreds of millions of dollars at area economic development. That's taxpayers' money, folks. That's costing all of us and our next generation and maybe 2 generations money. And we have somebody that wants to come in and just do business. Enough's enough. Now, I got a very important message from my upper management that I want to read here, and this is actually addressed to the Honorable Andrew Cuomo. It was dated January 19th, and I think you're going to like what it says. Dear Governor Cuomo, on behalf of the 39,000 hard-working Labor's International Union of North America members that call New York their home, I am writing to discuss my continued frustration with the delays in the permitting process for the Constitution Pipeline project. As you know, the 124-mile Constitution Pipeline represents nearly, in that case, old number, $700 million, nearly $700 million private investment in New York State infrastructure. It also represents
represents hundreds of family-sustaining jobs and economic development in an area of the state that needs it most. Our union has enjoyed an excellent working relationship with the principals of this project, and I am sure that this project will be built union from start to finish. The Constitution Pipeline Project received Federal Energy Regulatory Commission approval on December 2nd of 2014. 2014. And has languished in your New York State Department of Environmental Conservation for nearly a year. The failure of the New York State DEC to issue a necessary 401 water quality certificate permits has continued to delay the start of this project and now jeopardized this pipeline altogether. The politicizing of this decision has gone on long enough, and these delays are now having real-world consequences. In fact, Assistant New York State DEC Commissioner Jared Snyder has recently stated that arbitrarily withholding these certifications could result in the New York State DEC losing the authority to issue these permits. I can assure you, Labor's International Union of North America fully supports the complete stripping of New York State's DEC oversight and jurisdiction in the pipeline approval process. It's pretty simple. While Albany continues to play games, our members and our signatory contractors sit at home. The political gamemanship associated with this project is unprecedented, and enough is enough. I truly believe that the years of study, public comment, expert analysis, and voluminous reports clearly justify the issuance of the appropriate DEC permits for this project, as you have proudly proclaimed since 2009. But whatever the experts say, that's what I will do. Well, Governor, the experts have spoken loud and clear, and it's time for you to honor your commitment and put New York State residents back to work. I would welcome the opportunity to discuss this vitally important issue with you further. I thank you for your time, and if you have any questions requiring additional information, please do not hesitate to contact me at your earliest convenience. With kind regards, I remain yours very truly, Armin Sabatoni, General Secretary, Treasurer, and New England Regional Manager. I think that's the message we need to send to the governor. It doesn't have to be that complex. It's obviously coming from my boss. But it is very important. Please, please, please go back home and start sending emails, making phone calls. Every phone call that goes into the governor's office doesn't make it to the office, but it's recorded. And if there's enough of them, they throw it on his desk and say, hey, we got 5,000 calls. These people are tired of it, so it's very important. It's not too much to ask. We need to get to work, so please do that. I also want to ask that my union brothers thank a couple other people. The Joint Landowners Coalition, please give them a big round. And not last but not certainly not least, our elected officials. Thank you very much. I know you know how many jobs we're looking at. Oh yeah, a couple other things, just to make a point. I want to ask my union brothers and sisters that have worked on the pipeline, have you ever made more money than working on a pipeline? Just yell it up. No! Thank you. The minimum weekly hours is 60 hours on a pipeline, okay, folks? It's 70 hours of pay right off the bat. If they fall behind, or if they're in a situation where they have to get something done, time sensitive, temperature sensitive, sometimes you go more than 60 hours a week. So this is huge, huge, huge for our members and their families. Sir?
Yes, you're talking about jobs. Are your unions going to open up for people to join your union to work?
Yes. During the Millennium Pipeline, we actually hired 300 new members.
Okay, so you're going to take local labor from here?
Yes. Yeah, we promote from the counties we represent, which is Delaware County, Broome County, Chenango County, or 3 of the 8 counties we represent.
Thank you.
The trees you need to cut, how much of that is on state land and how much of it is on private land?
Good question. I'll defer that to.
Very few, and if we do tree felling starting very soon, hopefully, none will be cut on the state lands. We have Melody Hill Park and Clapper Hollow, but there'll be no tree clearing on those properties for the meantime.
On the privately owned land, could you go in there, offer the landowner, for $1, we will cut those trees, split them, and stack them for you to dispose of as you see fit?
That's not my area of expertise, sir. I'm probably not. You need to talk, I think, to the Williams folks, I believe. But
that's an idea.
Again, Williams, I believe, is the folks you need to talk to. I don't have the answers for that. So, okay, we're all set. Thank you again for coming, everybody. And please get the word out to the governor's office and your elected officials. We need these jobs. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. What Dave is saying about making sure that your voice is heard is crucial. So we've got, and Constitution has a number of letters that you can sign to the governor. Many of you have already signed them today. But Mike Gatchie is right back here from Constitution. Mike has these letters, so please make sure that if you haven't signed them already, you get to Mike, get those letters signed, and make sure that your voice is heard. They're also doing videos, so if you'd like to be in a video or you've got a particularly interesting story about why this is important to you and your community, find some of the video people here. I think we're going to have one in the front, right? There's Luke, and there could be one in the back as well.
Through the bar.
Through the bar. Find one of them. Make sure that your story is documented on videotape as well.
What about Twitter and Facebook?
Get it all out. It's all on the table.
Get it all out.
Did you hear that? Make sure that your message is being heard everywhere that you can. If you've got a Twitter account, if you've got Facebook, right? A lot of us are getting those these days. The Joint Manager Coalition of New York has its own Twitter and Facebook pages. We're out there on a regular basis with those. Use every means possible to make sure that we are being heard, that our views are getting back to Albany and they understand that. All right, let's talk a little bit about what's going on at the DEC. We are fortunate to have someone who knows something about the DEC. We have with us a former DEC commissioner. Mike Sagata is here. Mike is also former president of a environmental conservation society and former president of the Ruffed Grouse Society. So we're very pleased to have him. Where is he? Mike Sagata.
Thank you. I have to tell you, I'm embarrassed. When I was at DEC, I was proud. And I was proud because the professionals there did their jobs. They did them in a timely manner. Things weren't perfect, but the system, the process, the seeker process, and I hate to use this word, but it's been bastardized. When an applicant follows the rules and goes through the steps, there's supposed to be a light at the end of the tunnel. And that light doesn't include the governor. I'd be naive and I'd be lying if I told you I didn't get calls from the second floor from time to time. But we didn't stop activities like this, and you know, I hear the commercials for the new New York and I have to chuckle. It's the old New York. It's not the new New York. And the agency, because of what's happening here and the ill will toward the agency, It's gone from 4,000 full-time equivalents to 2,900. The legislators are responding to your concerns for the agency, and their budget's getting cut, and they're actually losing people. And that could, in the long run, be unfortunate, because if things do start to turn around, there won't be enough of them to process the permits. I just hope the governor will let them do their job. They're science-based. When you base your decisions on science, the likelihood of the results being what you expect is much improved. When you base your decisions on emotion, most of the time you're throwing your money down a rat hole. Couple things. The gentleman that's the project manager, Matt Swift, I'd like to speak to him just a minute in front of you and tell you that he's a quality individual. Matt worked for me at one time. I used to be a vice president at Transco before I was DEC commissioner. That sounds strange. Somebody came out of industry and became DEC commissioner. That's part of the reason we got things done.
Now they come out of the NRDC.
The other reason we got things done is legislators like Cliff Crouch. I mean, I can tell you he's an advocate for his constituents. I want to take a little different approach here for just a second. My wife was president of the board of Catholic Charities for Delaware, Otsego, and Schoharie counties. What an eye-opener for me. I had no idea that there are thousands of people who receive assistance from Catholic Charities on a regular basis, not because they're taking advantage of a situation, but because they've got 2 jobs and they still can't make ends meet. And here we are throwing stones at a project that could change that. I mean, think about what that means to those families and why the governor is doing what he's doing. I know why he's doing it. And there were times when Governor Pataki did that to a degree as well, because they think they need the environmental vote if they run for president. Well, you're not president. You're governor of New York. The people here need you. Please, Governor, sign permits, or let DEC sign them. The other thing that most of the people in this room don't know is that DEC's mission is 2-parted. Read it. It says their job is to protect the quality of the environment and to do so in a manner that maintains a vital and healthy economy. Both of those parts are supposed to be addressed, not just one. And it can be done. I can tell you that a healthy economy and a healthy environment are not mutually exclusive. They are inextricably intertwined. When you've got money, you can do things that you can't do when you don't. And you're more tempted to cut corners. The other thing I recommend to you when you're talking with your peers, focus on the improvements to air quality that will come from burning natural gas to generate electricity, and on the health benefits, the millions and millions of dollars that will be saved as we improve the quality of health in New York. And that's real. We get our air from the west, New York City gets its air from the west, and believe it or not, if New York City didn't produce any pollution on its own, it still couldn't meet the ambient air quality standards for the Clean Air Act, because the air it gets from the west is that dirty. Governor Pataki ringed the city of New York with 11 gas-fired turbines in 1996 and 7, and he did that in case there were rolling blackouts, because you can bring a gas-fired turbine online quickly and generate electricity. Well, that was for peak power. And you couldn't use it for base power, which is your power during the day that keeps everything going, because gas was so expensive. Well, guess what? Now it's being used for base power, because gas is cheap and the quality of New York City's air has improved. with all of this factual information, you would think that the governor would finally allow those permits to be signed and move on. One other point, many of the folks that oppose the pipeline say that rights-of-way have negative impacts on wildlife. And I'm here to tell you that they can have very positive impacts on wildlife. And if you have civic groups that would like someone to come and speak to them to talk about that, I'd be happy to do it. That's my background, and I can explain to you why and how. And you know, I have 2 rights-of-way on my property. That's where I go to bird watch. That's where I go to run my dog. And why? Because that's where the wildlife is. Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. We have 2 more speakers. The next one came to us months ago and said, you know what, we've got to get the word out. You know, we have people saying things to us that are just not true, saying it in the news on a regular basis. And he said, I'm going to do it. And as always, he gets it done. We have with us Dick Downey, who is the head of the Unitego Area Landowners Association. He's also a member of the Unitego School Board of Education. So we love Dick. Dick Downey.
Governor Cuomo has asked us who are in favor of gas development, where are your numbers? Well, we got some of those numbers here tonight, and thank you all for coming out. And I'd like to have you give yourselves a big hand. I was going to talk about a lot of other numbers, but they've been given to you already. But I'd like to, so these cards go over here. And I'd like to dig a little deeper for the government. 3 years ago, the average cost of a homeowner in Otsego County to have heat and cook with propane was $3,000. With a leather stocking distribution line, we can cut that bill by 30%. That's $900 in your pocket every year. I'm on the school board at Unitego. Our district bill for propane last year was $280,000. If we had natural gas, it would be $80,000. With budgets tightening, that's a teacher and an aide that I don't have to lay off next year. That teacher is usually young. Her next job will probably be in South Carolina. How tight is the market? 2 years ago, we had a kindergarten opening. There were 90 applicants. Taxes. If the pipeline was routed through Otsego County, it isn't. It's going to go through Delaware. And everybody knows the reason why. It would have been $5 million in the Otsego County coffers. Last year, the county had a shortfall of $9 million. They had to let go 15 people. If we had, if the 401 water permits are approved, Delaware County would have that $5 million. Jobs. Wouldn't it be great if a lot of you worked closer to home?
Yeah.
I know that a lot of you work 100 miles, 200 miles out of state. You come home for weekends to see your kid play basketball, and you're out again someplace, about 7 o'clock on Sunday, going to your job. Wouldn't it be great if we could have those jobs closer to home? And you're the lucky ones. At least you have work. Hope. Our kids have to leave to find work. Not only our kids, our older workers also. If you don't believe me, Governor Cuomo, check the for sale signs on our lawns. Check the foreclosures at the Otsego tax sale. Over the last 2 years, Otsego County had 98 foreclosures. And that isn't counting those kids, those people that go into bankruptcy. These are the numbers that fueled our frustration and energized our postcard campaign. It was the possibility of a better life versus your politics, Governor. I got a phone call a couple of months ago, and it was Tom Toomey, and he said they have a postcard campaign against the Constitution. I think he said, you have to do something about it. Of course I said we, and thank God for Tom. It is a we. We got 4 people together, myself, Tom, Marie Lucens, and Rod Gould. We sat down, we put a 17-word message on a postcard, and we didn't know what to do with it, but we figured, okay, we have to go and get it printed. On the way, we're saying, how many should we get? 500, 1,000? And we decided 2,000. We got those postcards. In 2 days, they were gone. We were so surprised, we didn't know what was happening. But let me tell you what is happening. There's a pent-up anger, frustration, whatever you may call it, in our area here, and it's centered on this Constitution pipeline. So, to date, we have a little bit short of 13,000. We have 1,000 in the back there. If you want to pick up some and send them out, send the governor the message. I think, well, God, my lips to God's ears that he would hear it. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you, Dick. 13,000 postcards Dick's been involved in getting that message to the governor and the DEC. So thank you so much for your efforts. Our last speaker we'll end with today is a mom of 3, is the wife of a carpenter.
Union carpenter.
Union carpenter, and a member of the Deposit Gas Group. We have Sandra Davis with us. Sandra?
I'll be quick. I'm sure y'all about ready to go. I know I am. My name is Sandra Davis. I'm a Delaware County native. I was born here. I've lived here all my life. My husband and I live on 55 acres in Deposit with our 3 handsome boys. I'm the secretary for the Deposit Gas Group, a member of the Landowners Advocates of New York, the Women's Energy Leadership Coalition, and the JLC. All these groups have fought for natural gas development in New York, and I'm a fighter. I was determined to get pregnant and have kids, but no luck. And then I had to fight to adopt. When I won the right to adopt our 2 boys, guess what? I was pregnant. In 2013, I had 3 handsome boys, all age under 3. Yeah. I want to adopt another child if our finances improve, and it's a struggle, but it's well worth it. I fight for what I believe in, and I don't give up, and that's how I was raised. My parents run a dairy farm along with my aunt and uncle on Route 8 in Deposit. There's nothing better than growing up on a farm in upstate New York. It fostered in me a love for nature and animals, and it showed me the value of hard work and perseverance. It made me who I am, ready for any struggle. And we do struggle. The struggle for people like myself and my husband who live in upstate New York is real. My husband is a union carpenter, but jobs are far and few between sometimes. For the last 6 years, we've been fighting to keep our home and our land. Like most people in the southern tier, we live paycheck to paycheck. Both of us had small businesses at one time, which we were forced to close due to New York's business environment. And every year, we have to wait to pay our taxes, our land taxes with our tax refund, plus our late fees. Since we cannot afford daycare, I am a stay-at-home mom, which I love my home and I love my life, but it ain't easy every day. My passion for this area runs deep and it's home. However, for the last 6 years, it has felt more like a prison. We live on the edge, and I'm tired of seeing friends and neighbors struggle, or even worse, leaving. It doesn't have to be this way. We are supposed to be the Empire State, and we are becoming the empty state. With so many people leaving, the state needs economic opportunity. We, the people, need relief from our financial burdens. We are not afraid of hard work. We want and need jobs here, not in North Carolina, not in Tennessee, and not in Kentucky. We want them here, and we want them now. But thanks to our amazing governor, we are in limbo. He's put the Constitution Pipeline on a permanent hold. He jeopardizes jobs at Amphenol, which hires close to 1,000 local people. It puts on hold the lives of welders, truck drivers, contractors, laborers, loggers, and carpenters like my husband. It postpones hope for our family and economic opportunity for our area. Now I know no pipeline will solve all of our problems, but at least it's a start. So let's start, Governor Cuomo. Don't let opportunity slip through your fingers. Forget the politics, think of the people. Let the DEC do its job. Unshackle the 401 water permits and let the people go to work. Thank you. Did a great job throwing those postcards together. I handed out over 400 of them. Take some, hand them to your friends, hand them to your neighbors, hand them to your co-workers. I have more if they run out of back because I haven't gotten rid of mine yet. But keep them going. Keep, the emails, keep sending them out. We got to get our message out there. We want work, we want it now, we want it here.
I want to thank Dave Sheldon. I want to thank Bob Holbrook. I want to thank Tom Toomey. And I'm probably forgetting a few other people. They put out over 400 postcards each. We had 70 distributors. Thank you all.
All right, real quick. We've got a couple door prizes. And the winners are?
Can someone from Constitution come up and say a few words?
Sure. What about the door prizes?
It's me.
What about
my name is Matthew Swift. I've met quite a few, not all of you. I'm the project manager for the Constitution Pipeline. I've been on the project now for 4 years. And I've been to a lot of public meetings, and almost every single one that I go to, there's opposition. And this is one meeting where I want the opposition to be here. I'm sure they are here, they're just being quiet, because there's so much support here. I like to say that we, Constitution, the landowner groups, leather stocking, the unions, we've done our part. Just on the ground, we talked about $1 billion for this project. To date, the Constitution Pipeline has spent $350 million, and Mike, we're at $2.5 million for community grants, which are very good, great for the community. Just on the ground, over in Gilman, New York, we have 128 miles of pipe just sitting there stacked. It's been stacked for a year and a half. $100 million worth of pipe. I'm back up in upstate New York. I came up back here in October to move and be here permanently for construction. In Oneonta, our office, we have a warehouse full of pipe, valves, and fittings. All the auxiliary equipment needed to build this pipeline. So we have done our part. We've done the engineering in an environmentally friendly way. We've done our environmental assessments, our permitting in an environmentally friendly way. We've gotten all of our right-of-way easements. We're ready to go. Our 2 union contractors, Henkel, McCoy, and Sheehan, they're calling every single day, wanting to know when we're going to start tree felling. When are we going to start? We're waiting to hear from FERC. They were snowed in yesterday. We're still on pins and needles waiting to hear from FERC. But we are ready to go. And when I was coming here, I was thinking 50 people. I think it's $350, maybe $450. This is wonderful. This is the kind of support we need. And also, for the union members and everybody who's gone to FERC hearings, to the DEC hearings, and spoken up for the pipeline, I greatly appreciate that. Thank you so much. As I keep saying, you've all done your part. You're still doing your part. We're ready to go to build this pipeline. And just keep in mind, as we see on the slides, once this pipeline is built, it's $13 million a year in these 4 counties, every year, every single year, as long as this pipe is flowing. So for all of our pro-pipeline elected officials, please take this back to Albany, that we've done everything we can. We are ready to go, and that's Constitution, the unions, the Upstate Landowner Coalition, leather stocking. Do you remember back in 2012, summer 2012, Cliff Crouch was there. We were at Amphenol's makeshift plant. Summer 2012, almost 4 years ago. And they were begging for gas. And they said, going on natural gas at the time in 2012, when natural gas prices were higher, it was going to save them $1.5 million a year, which equated to 33 jobs. I don't know if it's maybe up to 2 or 2.5 million a year, because the price of natural gas has gone so low. So I just want to thank everybody for coming. I hope there's some opposition here. Please, I wish they were here so they can see the amount of support we have, which is tremendous. So thank you for coming out. Yes.
I just wanted to make a comment. I'm part of a pro-economic group with Mike Zagata and some other business people in Otsego County, which is also known as the land of no. But just at our meeting the other day, it's really important to point out, I don't think people realize this, that there's not enough natural gas now to support the area. We have a local businessman, he purchased a $100,000 piece of equipment in the fall. He's not been able to hook that up because NYSEG will not provide the natural gas because there's too limited of a supply. So we need the natural gas now just to meet our current demand. There's not enough. And this impacts many businesses in the area.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for coming out today.
First, obviously, thank you everyone for coming. Thank you to the Joint Landowner Coalition of New York. Just a couple minutes, just a couple seconds, real quick, everybody. Thank you for the Joint Landowner Coalition of New York. Events like this take a lot of time and energy to put on. All my volunteers. Thank you to Dan Fitzsimmons, the president. If you want to support the JLC, see Dan. Make sure you get the letters over here, the videos both in the front and in the back. And understand that thank you to all the speakers that we had today, but you need to know that your presence today is a gigantic statement. Give yourself a great round of applause for that. As Dick County says in every single letter that he writes, keep the faith, we will get there, and New York can't wait.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you enjoy the presentation?
Thank you.